Hi guys, so in this video I want to talk about 4 steps to change any situation. So in most cases, when there's a situation that is causing us distress, that we feel lost, where we feel helpless, powerless, or we feel it's out of our control, what we tend to do is to dwell on the things that we can't change. We tend to focus on how bad the situation is. We tend to say we're going to give up. We tend to sink into negative thoughts and depression, and that isn't helpful. And this can occur if there's been a bereavement, a relationship breaker, a situation that's affecting us all in the world, like coronavirus, the events that are happening in America, whatever it is. There is always steps to change our situation, and I'm just going to go through 4 steps that I think you'll find useful. The first and really important step is to identify the main reason that you are feeling distressed about the situation. Now, what tends to happen is people get overwhelmed, so they start to think about all the things. So an example would be if someone identifies that they're stressed because they can't change the world, or they have an ideal or a dream of like world peace. Because that is so overwhelming in itself, what you're going to find is that it's not specific, and also it's probably not realistic and achievable. So you're going to remain in a state of distress because you've identified what the issue is, but the issue is beyond you. So be specific. Say, what is it that's affecting me? Not thinking about what's influenced, what other people are influencing you about. Not thinking about what you feel you should say. What is it that's causing the distress? What is it about this particular bereavement? What is it about the breaker? What is it about what's happening in the world? What is it about the current situation? Focus and be specific on what the actual issue, what's at the root of it. The second thing is to acknowledge and accept your feelings and your emotions, experience them. It's not about, and I think this is where some people are going wrong at the moment. People are saying, you know, there are certain people that are staying silent on certain issues, or there are certain people that are, you know, becoming victims or talking about themselves in a particular way. You need to acknowledge the pain that you're feeling about any situation. Being in denial, whether it's through a bereavement, whether it's through a world event, is only going to serve to block those feelings, suppress them, and they're going to come out in other ways. So what I would advise is definitely acknowledge how you're feeling. You know, I'm angry and I'm hurt because this has happened. I'm upset because this partner has left me. Even feel those emotions, cry if you need to, shout, scream. However, do not remain at step 2 or stage 2. If you remain in a state of constant pain, anxiety, stress, frustration, anger, it's unhealthy and it's destructive. And that is where, when I talk to people about empowerment, that's where they get angry. Some people do. They say, why am I going to get empowered? Why are you talking about, someone said to me on Facebook, why are you talking about empowerment when I'm talking about pain? And what I said to the person was, I acknowledge and accept and heard everything you said, and I respect you for sharing your story. And then I was trying to talk about empowerment, meaning that if you remain in a state of anger, where you feel like a victim, where you feel powerless, where you feel hurt, where you feel shame, where you feel all these negative emotions, the only way you can go is down. They're not productive. They're important to acknowledge, but they are not productive, not for change and not for you experiencing a new beginning. The third step, after you've identified what the issue is, after you have then, had the emotions and you've experienced the emotions, the third step is to think about what it is you would prefer. So the situation isn't the way you want it. You've acknowledged that. You're feeling a lot of pain and distress over the situation. You've experienced that, and that can take a long time. There's no time limit on it. The third step is, what would you prefer? If you don't have an image of what you want, that's another thing where people are going wrong. Everyone is screaming and shouting and protesting and doing whatever, and this is not just to do with what's going on in America, but no one is clear on what they actually want. My throat. So think about what you want, but then also there's 2 parts to this. Think about what's realistic and achievable, and think about what is idealistic. Now, you can have both dreams. You know, you could be a basketball player in the middle of nowhere, in a really tough ghetto, and you're a young boy, and you want to become a basketball player. However, you don't have do any practice on the courts. Your mum can't afford to buy you the trainers. You don't even know anything about basketball. Now, realistically, you need to start somewhere, so you need to start building up and learning about basketball, getting out on the court, getting those trainers, getting that practice in, and you can then come out, you know, and become what you want. Really, you also have to probably have a plan B, and I'm not being patronising here. What I'm saying is some people have these massive, as I've said, world peace, we'd love it. Eradicate racism, we'd love it. Lots of things we would like to happen, and we'd like to see the change, but there is no guarantee that that's going to happen. So what we do is we have a realistic thing about the situation. What small things can I do to get that change happening? What can I do as an individual? And yes, I can then come together with everyone else and we can unify. But what I personally am not going to sign up to is unifying and staying in stage 2 of just constantly feeling powerless, constantly crying, being in the pain, being in the hurt, being in the anger, being in the frustration, being in the annoyance, being in the irritation, all negative emotions that will not take you anywhere. This is why there's an increase in depression. This is why there's an increase in high mental health. This is why there's an increase with, once you've been with the crowd and you've been with the group and you've experienced all these emotions and then you go back home on your own, you're then feeling worse than you did. It's not uplifting. It's important, but it's important for a certain period of time. The third step is more important, visualizing what you want and then deciding this is what I would prefer. Fourth step is even more important, empowerment. Empowering yourself or others means that you then say, okay, we've cried about this now. This could apply to a relationship, same thing. Okay, the relationship has ended, I wasn't happy, I've cried now. I've stopped eating, I've stopped sleeping. I've said I'm not going to trust anyone again. I've said I'm not going to date again. But now I'm in part 4. I'm empowering myself. I know what my worth is. I know my value. And you can do this in any situation. Empowerment means you're saying, do you know what? I still have choices. I can still make decisions. I can still turn this thing around. You know, I'm past the negative emotion. I'm now in the powerful emotion. Powerful emotion is where you say, I'm big, I'm bad, I can do this, I have this about me, I am wonderful. You know, just because the world is saying something doesn't mean I have to sign up for it. Just because all my people on my Facebook friends are saying one thing doesn't mean I have to be part of that narrative. You know, I think that is, for me, the key thing. Empower yourself, empower others, and let's do this, you know. That is my philosophy in life generally. I don't avoid reality. I'm realistic about what I can change and what I can't change. I respect people's right to want change and how they choose to do that. But I just think as human beings, if we want change, we have to go through the steps. And it's not about staying in stage 2, complaining, being frustrated, being hurt, being angry, being irritated. Those emotions cannot get you to where you want to get to. You have to move past them into the next stage, which is planning, and then into the final stage, which is empowerment. And this will happen for anything. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you found this video useful. Please feel free to leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Take care. Bye.